is going on, my family here at Heck versus Hell? How are you all doing today? Welcome, everybody, and welcome back to you, listeners, everyone all across the world. We see all the clicks, we see all the love, and we love all the support. And we hope we can start showing some of that love back with some of these things we'll be rolling out very soon. But you are back on Heck versus Hell, where the truth we tell. You know what it is, and you know who I am. And if you don't, my name is Hector Rivera. Hello, blessings, peace, love, everything under the sun. I hope y'all are having a fine day, a fine weekend, a fine week, a fine month, and everything. I hope y'all are doing great. I hope y'all can still give glory even through the hard times, and I hope y'all find some beauty in these times that are unveiling, that are prophesied, right? Still find the glory to give God the grace, give God the gratefulness, and set them on pace. Dun, 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 before I start going in. No, but, to stay updated, please do check out www.realdoubledosechannel.com. Check out our website, email us, say hello, drop a email just for fun, whatever it is that you want to do. But hello, we're here, and I wanna give y'all this parable. Now, it isn't something that is foundational, but it is something to think about. It is something that I really thought was a nice revelation to see and to have. And it, in my opinion, is a force to be used as a manner of not only fully living in what we need to be and building up the foundations, principles, and purpose of what we need to do faster as opposed to waiting so long, because there is a lot of inaction. There's so much inaction. And that's one thing that I've seen so many times. You know, there are scriptures that do say, be still, for I am God. My name will be exalted among nations, and a lot of people take that, be still, for I am God. Absolutely. Take that, do what you will with it, and use that as a point to allow God to speak to you. But when you need to move, you need to move. Because remember, it says, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. It doesn't say, yea, though you carry me. Yea, though I float. Yea, though I sit down in the middle of the valley of the shadow of death. No, it says, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. It's the comfort in the walk. It's the comfort in the action, in knowing who is beside us. In the same way, Joshua looked at those giants and said, we can take them because we got God. Same way David looked at Goliath and said, who is this uncircumcised Philistine that is blaspheming my God, that is speaking against the Most High? Shall I take him out? What are y'all waiting to stand around for? What's going on? Do y'all not know who our Father is? In the same manner, that's how we need to look at things. That's how we need to be, and we need to know that there is a season for everything. Even if it's dirt throughout the day, there's a time and a place. There's times when you need to be still, and it's through that discernment and through that constant prayer, that constant communication with God. And it's something that I have to realign with myself and get better at more so, because I used to do it much more frequently. But I'll admit I've been having like some short memory situations and hiccup from silliness that I created myself. Whenever it just comes to like dopamine rushes of scrolling through TikToks or scrolling through shorts, scrolling through reels. And stuff gets you, all right? That stuff gets you. That's a drug that you don't even know you're getting onto. But it does allow you to stay attached, to get your dopamine from there. And it makes you get to that point of short-term memory loss or short attention span. So it makes it a little more difficult to communicate, even if it's with your partner, even if it's your spouse. So I'll tell you that right now, if you're having some issues in a relationship, It could be because you're miscommunicating. It could be because of your lack of communication, because you keep going through social media. That is a vice. It is a vice because it alters our overall reality of our day-to-day process. It is so subconscious to a lot of us, and I'll say it first and foremost. It's subconscious to me. Sometimes I wake up, I go and I get on the phone and I immediately start scrolling. I hate it. I hate it that I do that. Now, obviously, it hasn't been as serious, and sometimes I do go and I check the messages because I was used to checking certain messages from certain people for a while. So first thing I did was grab my phone just to make sure everything was okay. But it got to a bad habit, it got to a bad habit, and then there was a little bit of idleness on my part, I will say that. But that is something that I can address, that I can full-heartedly address. So through that prayer and supplication, we can understand that and discern what is going on and what we need to do in those moments of time. Allow the Spirit to flow through you, because that voice is still and quiet. And if you're over here moving around, jumping around, not being still to hear that voice, how can you move in alignment with the Spirit? So to get into this parable, I was washing dishes, actually, and I had that revelation, and I thought about how I've seen certain people. I will go unnamed with these people, but I've seen certain people run through sponges like crazy. They have sponges that they just soak, and they use, like I'm telling you, they will go and run out of a sponge, and they'll have to change it every 4 days. So the amount of money that they were spending just on sponges alone was insane to me. And I always had a rhythm of how I did things, and then I saw someone else where their sponge would last such a long time. But it was also because it was being rarely used. The fact was that they had a dishwasher, so they wouldn't really use it. Yeah, they would wash a couple dishes here and there by hand, and sometimes wash them to put them in the dishwasher. But the first person, they would have a little tub of, if you've seen any of the Country Crock butter little containers, think of a little square, rectangular-ish container. They would put water in there, they would put some dish soap, they would mix it up, and that would be their essentially washing water, right? They would use that as their soapy water to wash the dishes. But they would leave the sponge inside of that container. That's where it would constantly be, so it would be over soaked. So in that mannerism, you can go, and just like it says in Proverbs, don't be over righteous, lest you go before it is your time. But if you think of the longevity of not being used, like the other side, like the other manner I was speaking about, a lifelong can be too long, and you could be playing it way too safe to the point where you last so much longer than you needed to. Like King Hezekiah was done. He was done with his mission, but he asked for an extension of his life. He pleaded to God, Lord, let me not die now. And he extended his life. But he was done with his mission. Think of Methuselah. Methuselah lived 960. I can't remember, to be honest. He lived almost 1,000 years old. That's a long time. Especially now, because there's some people that don't even make it to 100. That's a long time. It's incomparable. And those are the type of things that it's like, well, did he really? Because, the Bible is, no, it's like he lived 1,000 years. And that is a very long time. But in that 1,000 years, what did he do? What did he accomplish? All we know is that he existed and that he died. That's it. That's all we know. Yet Christ, in 33 years, completed the most essential and greatest gift and most prominent plan for mankind that could ever be set in place. Literally, if anything else was changed, that is the one thing that couldn't be changed in order for us to find the kingdom of heaven. And in 33 years, he did that. He did and fulfilled his greatness. Now, obviously, we can go, hey, you know what? That's a little cheating because that's God. That's Christ, But even John the Baptist was the same age. John the Baptist was what, 30 years old whenever he died? Maybe 31, right? If you're doing the math when it comes to Jesus and John the Baptist, he was still very young, and he prepared the way. He prepared the way for Christ. He did his mission, and he was beheaded, but he still went out a huge martyr, right? And now people call him a saint, and really we're all saints, but he is very prominent. Shoot, even David, if David went and he would have died a little sooner, maybe he wouldn't have sinned, maybe he wouldn't have strayed from God like he did, or done that, that wicked thing of killing Uriah. Was it Uriah? I think it was Uriah, his name was. Maybe he wouldn't have done that. But then again, Solomon wouldn't have been born. But it's those components, these components that allow us to really see, there's sometimes, there's such a balance to everything. There's sometimes whenever we are being too righteous, whenever we're not acting the way Christ wanted us to be, and we're taking things too literal. We're taking the law too literal. Now, I'm not saying, hey, loosen up, love is love, everything. No, I'm not saying that. And I'm not saying, go hardcore like the Pharisees. It's a balance to everything. If you focus and pay attention, there is a divine balance in everything that was created. Even the fine tuning that atheists still can't figure out. They don't know how it happened. It's a miracle. These things just came into existence, and it was miraculous, although they won't call it a miracle. Now, the definition of a miracle is the fact that it cannot be repeated, right, in their understanding. It is something that cannot be scientifically recreated or repeated. So it's a miracle to them, yet they don't believe in miracles. Right? Just, throwing a little shade to them right now. But, it's lack of ignorance. It's lack of ignorance. We'll give it to them. However, it's such a fine balance. Such a wonderful, beautiful coalition of what God created and what he allowed to be. It's marvelous, really. So, in that sense, Christ could have started way too early. He could have jumped the gun and started before he was ready. Now, that's not saying, hey, you're not ready. Because even Moses was 80 years old, and he was like, oh, I don't think I'm ready. So it's not the fact of what you believe. It's the fact of what God tells you to do. Right? I actually saw a meme. It was some person making a video, and they were saying how we thought God would talk to us or speak to us. And he's like, it's my son. And he's like, yes, Father. He's like, I want you to quit your job. You will not need for anything. You will be making $10,000 a month, and you will be living just fine, very happy. Oh, okay, I'll do it. It says versus how he actually talks to us. It says, my son. He's like, yes, Father. I'm like, quit your job. He's like, and then? And it's just silence. Just silence, right? But it's funny because it's a point of faith. And if he gave us those understandings of the why, it would almost be an influence on our free will decision, whether we want to choose to listen to him or not. So I definitely 100% understand why he does it, but that's what we have to listen to. That calm, still voice that is hard to hear at times, very difficult at times. Sometimes you feel like it's not even there, but we have to know and trust that God is always with us, and God is always there, for he is faithful, and he walks with us through those valleys, even if we don't see him, even if he doesn't speak to us. We know that he sends his spirit before us, before the place that he is sending us to. Ain't that marvelous? Because even our own fathers that birthed us cannot do that. Obviously some people may have the capabilities, like if you're going, let's say a rich man is going and taking his wife and children to dinner, to an expensive restaurant. He can say, hey, you know what, security team, go up there, check out the place, scope it out, see what's up there. And then stay there while we show up. And then we'll show up with the rest of the security team. But imagine the amount of expenses that would be going into that, right? And obviously, it's something that every man would love to do for his family, right? And obviously, I'll speak of real men. Real men would love to do for their family, for their anyone, anyone that's really biblical and really, I don't even like saying the word really biblical as though it's an attribute, really into the truth, into the word of God. Anyone that is and shows and displays those characteristics, yeah, they would want to do that. And God does that to us and for us. So it's beautiful and it's wonderful. So I hope something could be shared there. I hope you pick something up from there. If not, hear it again. But I love you all. I hope you have a blessed one. Let us know something. Comment down below if there is any topics that we should talk about, because we've been wanting to do some deep TSMA episodes. We had that one that we just had about the over the shoulder kind of conversation. That was actually a conversation where Lex and I were sitting in the car and we were just talking. So anything else, any type of topics that we should talk about, we might start going into other marriage type of topics whenever it comes to TSMA, because there are certain questions that people do find curiosity in, that it is not explicitly said in the Bible, that needs context, right? So there are going to be those type of conversations, even whenever it comes to the bed, right, between a man and a woman. So comment something, let us know what you want to hear. We are definitely wanting to help out with that, or just shoot us an email. And always, if you do need help, more than we can provide, if we are not available at the time, you can always reach out to us at realdoubledosechannel@yandex.com or flip the switch at reborn.com. That is flip DA switch at reborn.com. That's our emails. So you could reach out to us there. But I love you all. Please don't be afraid to reach out for whatever reason. And as you know, we will catch you on the flip side.